What if everything you've ever wanted, peace, power, purpose, was waiting behind just one strong habit you haven't committed to yet? Think about that for a moment. One change, one action repeated every single day. One thing done so consistently, it rewires the way you see yourself and how the world sees you. Most people never realize the truth. Their life isn't broken. It's just stuck in a loop of weak patterns that don't support who they want to become. And here's the brutal truth. If you keep repeating what you're doing now, you'll keep getting exactly what you're getting now. No change, no breakthrough. Just the same days over and over again, disguised as a life. But deep down, you already know this. You've felt the frustration. You've had those nights where you stare at the ceiling, wondering why nothing's changing, why success feels far away, why you keep slipping into the same doubts, distractions, and disappointments. It's not because you're not capable. It's not because you're lazy. It's because no one ever showed you the real force that shapes your future. It's not talent, luck, or even motivation. It's habit. One habit. One core behavior you choose and protect like your life depends on it, because it does. When you commit to one strong habit, you change more than just your schedule. You change your identity. You stop saying, "I want to be better," and you start becoming better. You stop needing external validation because you gain internal momentum. Each time you show up for yourself, when it's hard, when it's cold, when no one's watching, you send a signal to your brain, "I am the kind of person who follows through." And that changes everything. Confidence grows. Clarity sharpens. Discipline hardens. You stop waiting and start building. This is your wake-up call. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. Because 5 years from now, you will look back on today, and you will either thank yourself or regret that you stayed comfortable. One strong habit can rewrite your story, physically, mentally, financially, emotionally. It's the root of everything you want. You don't need to figure out your entire life today. You just need to make one solid promise to yourself and keep it every day until it becomes who you are. Stay with this message until the very end, because what you'll discover next isn't just motivation, it's the map. A step-by-step guide to breaking the cycle and building the kind of strength you've always known was buried inside you. That voice in your heart that whispers, "You were made for more." It's not lying, but it needs proof, and that proof is one habit. One act of discipline that you choose every single day, not because it's easy, but because you finally believe you deserve the life that comes with it. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the strength of your habits. That's the truth no one wants to hear, because dreams are exciting, but habits are quiet. They don't make noise, they don't ask for applause, but they build you. Every day you repeat a behavior, you're voting for the person you're becoming. And the real question is, who are you voting for? Each time you delay, escape, or give in, you're reinforcing the version of yourself you're trying to escape. But each time you stand tall, show up, and do what you said you would, even when it's hard, you're sculpting a new identity, one choice at a time. Change doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. Anyone can work hard for a day, a week, even a month, but real transformation belongs to those who are willing to do the boring, the uncomfortable, the necessary, over and over again. When you commit to a habit, you're not just doing something, you're becoming someone. You're replacing chaos with clarity. You're choosing strength over excuses. And it's not always glamorous. There are no shortcuts, no secrets, just a simple truth. If you want your life to rise, your standards must rise first. It doesn't matter how small the habit is. What matters is that it's real, it's solid, and it's repeated. It can be waking up at the same time. It can be journaling for 5 minutes. It can be choosing to move your body, read a page, drink water, or sit in silence. What you choose isn't the point. The point is the pattern. Because patterns build power. And once momentum begins, everything changes. Your brain starts to believe you're capable. Your emotions start aligning with purpose. Your confidence becomes earned, not imagined. Discipline doesn't drain you, it frees you. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want. That's not freedom, that's slavery to impulses. True freedom is having control over your own behavior. It's knowing that your emotions don't own you, your distractions don't lead you, and your doubts don't define you. And you earn that power one habit at a time. One small daily victory that proves to yourself, I'm in control now. You've waited long enough for a breakthrough. You've watched others build what you've only imagined. Or you've had moments of fire that faded into ashes because nothing was anchored. That changes today. The shift happens the moment you decide that one habit is no longer optional. It's required, non-negotiable, part of who you are. And when that switch flips inside you, the world responds. Opportunities show up. Focus sharpens. Strength multiplies. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you became stronger. You didn't wait for the path to clear. You started walking. And now everything begins to shift. All from one habit, one choice. Repeat it until it transforms your future. Keep going. You're closer than you think. Your brain is always watching you. Every decision you make, every promise you keep or break, your mind records it. And over time, it begins to build a version of you that matches those patterns. That's how identity forms. Not from the things you say you want, but from the things you repeatedly do. You can't fake consistency. You can't talk your way into strength. You have to earn it through action, through repetition, through the discipline of doing the hard things when no one's clapping and no one's watching. That's where real power is born, not in comfort, but in quiet commitment. This is why so many people stay stuck. They keep chasing intensity. They want massive change overnight. But what they fail to realize is that lasting transformation doesn't scream, it whispers. It begins with one quiet decision and grows through 1,000 silent repetitions. Every day you're either reinforcing weakness or building strength. There is no in-between. Every excuse, every delay, every maybe later carves a deeper groove of hesitation in your mind. But every moment you choose action, every time you show up despite resistance, you lay another brick in the foundation of unshakable confidence. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to be inspired. What you need is to decide that your future is worth more than your comfort. You have to become the kind of person who does the right thing even when it's hard, even when motivation is gone, even when no one will ever see the effort. That's what separates those who grow from those who repeat. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But that's the point. You are not here to stay the same. You are here to evolve. The real reward isn't the result. It's who you become in the process. It's waking up one day and realizing that the person you used to wish you were, you are now living as. That strength, that focus, that discipline, it didn't come from luck or inspiration. It came from one habit, one decision, done over and over again until it stopped being something you did and started being someone you are. That's the true transformation. Not doing the thing once, but becoming the kind of person who can't imagine living without it. So you have to ask yourself, right now, what version of me am I feeding? The one that gives in, delays, and hopes things get better on their own? Or the one that decides enough is enough and starts building the future brick by brick? One habit is all it takes to shift the entire direction of your life. Not because it changes everything overnight, but because it changes you. And when you change, everything you touch changes too. This isn't about a task. It's about becoming. Choose the habit, repeat the habit, become the strength, and watch how the world starts to move with you. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're not just winning the moment, you're reprogramming your mind. Your brain learns through repetition. It listens to what you do more than what you say. When you show up consistently for one habit, you start teaching your nervous system that your actions can be trusted, that you finish what you start, that you don't break promises to yourself. And that shift is everything. Because once your mind believes you follow through, the ceiling lifts, the walls fall. You stop fearing failure because you've proven to yourself that you'll keep rising no matter what. That's the power of one strong habit. It doesn't just change your routine, it rewires your self-worth. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently, not because anything outside of you has changed, but because everything inside of you has. You're no longer trying to feel confident. You are confident. You no longer need to chase motivation. You move with purpose because your actions are rooted in truth. There's a calm that comes when you know you are in control. A fire that grows when you've trained yourself to keep moving, no matter how loud your excuses become. You can't build a strong life on weak patterns. You can't rise on a foundation built from hesitation, doubt, and half-effort. One habit practiced daily becomes a standard, and standards shape your reality. They dictate how you show up, what you allow, and how far you go. That's why one small change done relentlessly creates massive impact. Because it's never just about the habit. It's about the signal it sends to your life, I'm not who I used to be. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to overhaul everything. You just need one solid anchor. Something you protect at all costs. Something that centers you, grounds you, and proves to you every single day that you are serious about your evolution. It could be the way you start your morning, the way you treat your body, the time you claim for yourself, or whatever it is. When you do it consistently, it becomes sacred, it becomes yours. And when something becomes yours, you no longer negotiate with it, you defend it. That's how strength is built, quietly, patiently, through the boring, the simple, the overlooked. That's where greatness hides, not in loud declarations, but in quiet rituals. And when that habit becomes part of you, something bigger happens. Your vision expands, your choices align, your future shifts. Not because it was handed to you, but because you stepped into it with discipline. You don't wait for miracles, you create momentum. And the beautiful truth is this: once you build that one habit, you prove to yourself that you can build another and another, until one day you look around and realize you're living a life you once only imagined, all because you decided to master one thing and never stopped. Most people wait for a breakthrough, not realizing the breakthrough is waiting for them to act. They sit in hesitation, hoping for clarity, praying for momentum, but never moving. That's the trap, believing you need to feel ready to begin. But readiness is a myth. The truth is, action creates clarity. Movement creates motivation. The habit you keep avoiding is the doorway to everything you've been searching for. And it's not the size of the action that matters. It's the commitment behind it. The decision that says, no matter how I feel, I will not abandon myself today. The greatest shift happens when you stop negotiating with your old self. That version of you, the one that delays, escapes, and doubts, only survives through permission. It only lives when you feed it time, attention, excuses. But once you interrupt the pattern with one consistent habit, everything changes. You break the cycle. You create a gap between who you've been and who you're becoming. And in that space, you take back your power. You stop being a prisoner of your past and start becoming the architect of your future. Every time you follow through, you raise your internal standard. You send a message to your subconscious: this is who I am now. I don't quit. I don't shrink. I don't fall back into what broke me. And the beautiful part is that your brain begins to catch up. It starts scanning for actions, opportunities, and people that align with this new version of you. That's how alignment begins, not from wishing, but from doing. When your habits match your vision, your reality starts to bend in your favor. You won't always feel strong, you won't always feel certain, but you don't need to. You just need to keep the promise. One habit, one sacred routine that grounds you, centers you, and reminds you that you are not your thoughts, not your failures, not your fear. You are your discipline. You are your decision. And when that becomes your truth, everything becomes possible. This is where transformation begins, not in the spotlight, not in the applause, but in the quiet daily discipline that no one sees. In the early mornings, in the moments of resistance, in the uncomfortable silence where you choose progress over comfort. That's where your strength is forged. And when that strength is real, it shows, not in how loud you speak, but in how consistently you act. Not in what you say you'll do, but in what you do when no one is watching. You've waited long enough. The habit that will change everything isn't something you need to find, it's something you need to choose. And once you choose it, guard it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Everything you want is on the other side of the discipline you've been avoiding. So show up, lock in, decide who you are, and prove it one powerful habit at a time. The life you want is already possible. It's not out of reach. It's not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It's waiting for you to become the person who can handle it, protect it, and sustain it. And that person isn't built through big moments. They're built through daily decisions, through repeated effort, through the habit of showing up when it would be easier to quit. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're proving to yourself that you're ready for more. You're not just hoping anymore, you're becoming. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it feels slow. Sometimes it feels invisible. But real change happens long before anyone sees the result. It begins in silence, in those early hours when you push through resistance, in those quiet choices when you could slip back into the old you, but you don't. That's where power is born. That's where you shift from trying to trusting. Because once you've shown yourself that you can keep a promise, especially when it's hard, you begin to believe in your own strength in a way that no one can give or take away. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep the habit alive. The habit that aligns with your higher self. The one that moves you closer, even if it's just by inches, because those inches add up. Those small wins build a foundation, and over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. You'll look back and realize it was never one huge decision that changed everything. It was the commitment to one small one, repeated over and over, until it rewired who you are. There is nothing more powerful than self-respect, and it's built through action. You begin to trust yourself again when your behavior finally matches your vision. When you stop breaking the agreements you made in silence, that's when your confidence becomes unbreakable. Not because things get easier, but because you get stronger. You've proven to yourself that you can endure, that you can stay focused, that you can rise above whatever tries to pull you back. You are not waiting for potential. You are already it. The only thing left is to unlock it with action. And the key is always consistency, not perfection, not intensity, just one thing done with full heart every single day, one thing you guard, one thing you grow, one thing that becomes the root of your identity. And once it's planted deeply enough, nothing can shake it. Not fear, not failure, not time. If you're serious about the life you say you want, prove it to yourself now. Don't speak it, live it, don't wish it, work it. Anchor your day to one habit that reflects your greatness. Show yourself what's possible when you refuse to give up. Because you are not far. You're one decision away, one action away, one unshakable habit away from becoming unstoppable. Discipline is not punishment, it's permission. Permission to grow, permission to rise, permission to walk into a version of yourself you've only glimpsed in rare moments of clarity. It's not about restriction, it's about liberation. When you take control of your habits, you take control of your future. The chaos starts to settle, the noise begins to fade, and in that space you find something most people never touch in their entire lives: alignment, a moment where your actions, your values, and your vision all move in the same direction. That is when power is born. Not the kind that comes from force, but the kind that comes from inner alignment. Quiet, strong, unshakable. You don't need more inspiration. You don't need more time. You need to decide that enough is enough, that you're done living at half strength, that you're done starting and stopping, hoping and hesitating, building momentum only to let it slip. That kind of cycle doesn't break on its own. It breaks when you rise with intention and say, this habit is no longer optional, it's who I am now. And the moment you truly believe that, your behavior begins to match it. The resistance you once feared becomes your training ground. You stop running from discomfort and start using it to sharpen your mind, shape your body, and clarify your purpose. Habits are more than tasks. They're anchors. They keep you grounded when life gets chaotic. They give you structure when everything feels uncertain. When your emotions waver, when your motivation fades, when the world pushes back, your habit stays. It holds you steady. That's why it's sacred. That's why it matters. Not because it's flashy, but because it's constant. You begin to build trust in yourself, not by doing everything perfectly, but by doing one thing consistently. You already have the strength. You've just been scattering it, spreading it too thin across distractions, doubts, and decisions that don't serve you. But now, you pull it all together. You gather your focus and you pour it into one habit, one commitment, one non-negotiable. And something shifts. You begin to feel it. Less noise, more clarity, less doubt, more direction. You're not chasing anything anymore. You're building it from within. From the ground up, from repetition, not reaction. This is the foundation you've been missing. This is the structure that supports growth that lasts. You won't have to keep starting over because this time it's different. This time it's deeper. This time it's not about what others see. It's about what you know, deep inside about who you are and what you're becoming. And when that knowing is backed by action, by proof, by ritual, nothing can stop it. You've tried doing it the easy way. Now it's time to do it the real way. Anchor yourself, discipline yourself, free yourself. Let one habit become the proof that you were always capable, that you were never broken, just waiting to activate your true potential, and that time is now. You are not here to repeat yesterday. You are not here to survive the same cycle, stuck in patterns that drain your energy and blur your vision. You are here to rise. And rising doesn't happen through luck or inspiration. It happens through alignment, through discipline, through daily decisions that match the future you crave. That future version of you is not some distant dream. It's built brick by brick, choice by choice, through the one habit you refuse to let go of. Every time you keep that habit alive, you are taking one step out of who you were and one step closer to who you were always meant to become. You can't escape the truth. If your daily behavior isn't aligned with your desired outcome, the gap will grow. No matter how much you want it, hope for it, or visualize it, if your actions aren't pulling you toward it, you're drifting further away. But when you wake up and lock in on one habit that represents your future self, you collapse that gap. You step into the identity you've been chasing, and suddenly your life begins to respond. You're no longer wishing, you're creating, you're no longer hoping, you're becoming. Consistency is not about being perfect, it's about being committed. It's about standing tall even when your mind screams for comfort. It's about showing up when the excitement is gone and all that's left is the decision. That's the level where most people fall. But you won't, because you now understand what's at stake. You've seen what happens when you abandon your potential. The guilt, the regret, the endless cycle of starting over that ends the moment you decide that your habit is non-negotiable. Not for anyone, not for anything. The power you're building isn't just physical, it's psychological. You're training your mind to obey your higher self, to submit to a greater purpose. That kind of power doesn't fade with time, it grows with repetition. It compounds in silence, and one day it shows, not in loud declarations, but in the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you no longer entertain the distractions that once pulled you off course. You become sharper, clearer, stronger, because you're no longer confused about who you are. The most dangerous lie is the one that says you have more time, that tomorrow will be easier, that you can start later. But you know better now. You know that delay is the enemy of destiny. That waiting is just a slow form of quitting. So you move now, you build now, or you show up now, because you've finally realized something most never do. Your habit is not just about success, it's about freedom. The freedom to live as the person you are meant to be. And every day you protect that habit, you're breaking chains, building courage, and proving to yourself that nothing can hold you back. Not anymore. Not ever again. You have no idea how powerful you become the moment you stop waiting to feel ready and start acting from commitment. The strength you're looking for doesn't live in your comfort zone. It lives in repetition, in discipline, in showing up with fierce intention even when your mind is clouded with doubt. Because that's where your edge is. That's where you break the old version of you, the one who let circumstances decide the outcome, who let feelings dictate effort, who waited for confidence instead of building it. That version doesn't belong to you anymore. You've outgrown it. And now it's time to prove it with action that doesn't flinch. The habit you build is more than a routine. It's a declaration. It says, I'm no longer controlled by chaos. I'm no longer a servant to inconsistency. I've chosen structure. I've chosen power. I've chosen to lead myself no matter what comes against me. Because real leadership starts within. If you can't lead your thoughts, your time, your focus, nothing outside of you will ever fall into place. But when you master the internal, the external starts to respond. That's not coincidence, that's alignment. And alignment begins when one habit becomes the anchor that holds you to your highest standard. Most people live in reaction. They wake up and let the day decide how they feel. They scroll, they drift, they chase comfort, and they wonder why they feel lost. But you are not most people. You're done being passive with your potential. You're done giving your energy to things that drain you. From now on, your life moves with structure. Your focus is sacred. Your time is protected. You're no longer chasing balance. You're building control. And the one habit you lock in becomes the starting point of everything that follows. Progress is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, better, deeper, stronger, without excuse. That's how momentum is built. And once momentum arrives, your energy shifts. You think clearer. You move faster. You hesitate less because you've removed the weight of indecision. There's no more wondering if you'll show up. You know you will. And that certainty is what sets you apart. That consistency is what makes you dangerous to the limits you used to believe in. You don't need motivation. You need alignment. You don't need more time. You need fewer excuses. You don't need anyone to believe in you. You need to believe in the power of your next decision. One habit can rewrite your path. One small shift done daily with intention can turn you into someone unstoppable. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're just one decision away. Let the world keep spinning in distraction. You've chosen discipline. Let the noise keep shouting for attention. You've chosen clarity. And in that clarity, your future takes shape. You don't need permission. You've already earned the right to change everything. Now act like it. And don't stop. The fastest way to build self-respect is to do the thing you said you would do long after the feeling you made the decision in has faded. That's the battlefield. That's where your strength is either built or broken, not in the moment of excitement, but in the moment of resistance. When your mind whispers reasons to delay, to avoid, to lower the standard, and you stare back with action, that's when you know you've taken control. Because weakness speaks in feelings, but power speaks in choices. Every time you choose the habit, you weaken the grip of the old self. You silence the voice of doubt. You rise. You don't need to change your entire life today. You need to protect one shift, one decision that reflects who you want to be. Anchor yourself in it. Honor it. Defend it against the noise and the chaos. Because when you master one, you prove to yourself that mastery is possible. And that belief is the spark that turns effort into identity. You're not just doing a task anymore. You're showing yourself you are someone who finishes, someone who leads themselves, someone who doesn't disappear when it gets hard. You become reliable in a world that glorifies inconsistency. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they're not capable. It's because they keep waiting for change to feel good. But growth doesn't feel good. It feels honest. It reveals your distractions. It confronts your excuses. It exposes the places you've been hiding. And if you can face that without running, if you can hold your ground and keep moving, then you are already becoming the version of yourself you've always needed. Not by force, but by choice. Not by chasing outcomes, but by honoring the process. Your life bends around what you do daily. Not what you dream, not what you post, not what you promise, but what you repeat. Your habits build the floor you walk on. If that floor is weak, everything wobbles. But if that floor is strong, anchored in discipline, clarity, and truth, then you become unshakable. Life will still try to test you. Chaos will still show up. But you won't be shaken because your habit holds. Your structure stands. And within that structure, peace is built. There's no shortcut to this, no easy way around it. But that's what makes it beautiful, because no one can hand it to you, and no one can take it away. Your habit becomes your proof. Your discipline becomes your foundation. And the deeper you root it, the higher you rise. Every day you honor it, you separate from the average. You reject the comfort of drifting. You build forward. You move with intention. And one day you wake up inside a life that was once just a dream, crafted not by chance, but by the quiet, consistent power of the one habit you refuse to break. Keep going. You're not just changing your actions, you're changing your identity. Nothing outside of you can create what you haven't built within. You can chase results, chase recognition, chase rewards, but if the foundation isn't steady, it all collapses. That's why your focus must shift from outcome to identity, from what you want to who you're becoming. Because once you become the kind of person who honors their habits, follows through on their decisions, and refuses to be led by emotion, everything changes. You don't have to force growth anymore. You don't have to beg for progress. It begins to flow naturally because your behavior now matches your intention. There's a version of you that already has the discipline, the clarity, the strength, but that version is hidden behind layers of comfort and hesitation. You don't need to find that person. You need to reveal them. And the only way to do that is through consistent daily effort. Not bursts of energy, not moments of hype, but real, focused discipline. One habit, one action, over and over, until you no longer need to think about it, because it's just who you are now. That is the goal, not to force change, but to embody it. And it starts with the decision to stop compromising your potential. No one is coming to rescue your future. No one is going to build your confidence for you. That responsibility is yours. And it's earned in the hours where there is no applause, in the decisions no one sees, in the private moments where the old you begs you to quit, and you don't. That's where transformation begins. You don't need a miracle. You need proof. Proof that you can trust yourself again, that you are no longer owned by distraction, controlled by doubt, or addicted to inconsistency. And every time you complete the habit you've chosen, you stack that proof. Brick by brick, day by day, you are not behind, you are not too late, you are right on time for the future that's waiting for you to rise. But it will not lower its standards to meet your comfort. You must rise to meet its demand. And it doesn't require perfection. It only requires persistence. Show up when it's boring, show up when it's difficult. Show up when your mind offers every excuse to stop. That is how self-respect is rebuilt. That is how belief is born, not from results, but from action repeated under pressure. Every time you repeat your habit, you silence the voice that says you can't. You crush the doubt that said this time would be like every other time, and slowly the noise begins to fade. The fear loses its grip. You become focused, clear, unshakable. You're no longer searching for who you are, you're proving it. With your actions, with your decisions, with your habits. And the life that once felt far away is now forming around your consistency, not by chance, not by force, but by the power of one strong habit, repeated with courage, protected with discipline, and driven by purpose. There is nothing more powerful than a mind made up. Once you decide that your standards are no longer negotiable, your entire world begins to shift. You stop waiting for the right mood, the right moment, the right energy. You act because it's who you are now. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about remembering your purpose when everything else tries to make you forget. It's about creating a center so strong that distractions can no longer pull you off course. You've lived in reaction long enough. Now you live in response. Not to emotion, but to commitment. Not to circumstances, but to vision. The reason you feel stuck isn't because you're weak. It's because you've given too much power to your moods and too little to your mission. But the moment you choose one strong habit and make it non-negotiable, you begin to reclaim your authority. You remind your mind who's in control. You don't argue with your excuses, you outgrow them. You don't try to avoid resistance, you move through it. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, you rewire your identity to match your goals. And that's where the shift happens. Not outside, but inside. Quiet, powerful, permanent. You no longer need intensity to prove your worth. You don't have to go all out to feel valuable. Consistency will do what intensity never could. It will make your transformation real. Because transformation is not a feeling, it's a pattern, a rhythm, a repeatable decision backed by clarity and discipline.
You've seen what inconsistency costs.
The confusion, the guilt, the quiet disappointment that grows when your actions betray your vision. But now you're done with that life. You've outgrown excuses, you've outgrown waiting. Now it's time to lead. Your habit is your compass. When everything around you gets chaotic, you don't spiral, you return to structure. That structure gives you power, it grounds you. It reminds you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. You no longer chase motivation. You've built something stronger. You've built self-command. And with it comes peace. Not because everything is easy, but because everything is clear. You've removed the question mark from your life. You know what you do. You know who you are. And now nothing gets to shake that. Let the world keep seeking shortcuts. You've chosen the path that lasts. Let the noise scream for attention. You've chosen stillness and strength. Every time you complete your habit, you're reinforcing that choice. You're teaching your brain that you are no longer someone who starts and stops. You are someone who stays, who shows up, who builds. The outside world may not notice yet, but your inner world already knows you're becoming solid, quietly unstoppable. And soon your results will speak so loudly, no one will be able to deny the power of the life you've built through one habit repeated with honor. Keep moving. You are right where your transformation begins. The life you truly want will cost you your comfort. It will demand your focus, your discipline, and your willingness to do what others avoid. But that price is nothing compared to the reward. Because when you train yourself to rise above the pull of laziness and distraction, you don't just win the day, you win your identity back. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you take back control. Every repetition of your habit becomes a message to your mind, I am in charge now. Not my mood, not my environment, not my fear, me. Fully present, fully responsible, fully committed. Most people stay stuck because they wait for life to make it easier. They believe change happens when the pressure lifts or the timing feels perfect, but that day never comes. The resistance never fully leaves. And the truth is, it's not supposed to. The resistance is the test. The pressure is the proof. It's what separates the ones who wish from the ones who execute. You don't eliminate resistance, you outgrow it. You rise above it by doing what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. And the only way to develop that strength is to build it inside your habits. You don't become disciplined by thinking about it. You become disciplined by doing it again and again until it becomes who you are. Until skipping your habit feels foreign. Until breaking your commitment feels unnatural. That's the turning point, when the habit you once had to force becomes the standard you refuse to break. That's where everything begins to shift. Because now, you don't need to convince yourself to act. You just act. It's no longer a decision. It's a reflex. And that's where real power lives. There will still be days when you feel tired. There will still be moments when your mind whispers lies, trying to pull you back to old patterns. But now you recognize them. You see them for what they are, echoes of the version of you that no longer leads. And you don't obey them. You acknowledge them and keep going. Because forward is the only direction you honor now. Progress is not optional. Evolution is non-negotiable. You have a mission now, and that mission is you, becoming undeniable through consistent, grounded, unshakable action. This is no longer about motivation. It's about mastery. Mastery of self, mastery of focus, mastery of your energy. And that mastery begins and ends with your habits. The small, daily decisions you protect as sacred. They don't need to be complex. They just need to be done. With intention, with respect. With the fire of someone who refuses to live beneath their potential any longer. You've already proven you can survive the chaos. Now it's time to prove you can rise in it. Choose the habit, keep it alive, let it shape your mind, harden your spirit, and anchor your path. You don't need to be louder. You need to be locked in. Because when you move with consistency, the world eventually moves with you. There's a kind of freedom that only comes when you stop negotiating with weakness, when you stop entertaining the thoughts that tell you to slow down, to skip today, to lower your standard just this once. That voice will never leave. It's part of the human mind. But you're no longer here to obey it. You're here to overcome it. Because the moment you stop answering its call, you rise into a version of yourself that doesn't just talk about growth, but embodies it. A version of yourself that doesn't ask if it's possible, but acts as if it's already done. That's the shift your life has been waiting for. Your habit is no longer just a routine, it's a weapon. It slices through resistance. It destroys hesitation. It reminds you that you're capable of creating structure in a world designed to distract you. Every time you complete it, no matter how small, you reclaim territory in your own mind. You expand the space where confidence lives. You make it harder for doubt to survive. That's not just a mental trick, that's a psychological transformation. A deep rewiring of the belief system that says, I follow through, I show up, I don't run. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need the perfect plan. You need presence. You need to give your energy to the habit in front of you, not the outcome that still feels far away. Because outcomes don't shape you, actions do. You're not here to chase results. You're here to become the kind of person who naturally creates them. That begins with the decisions you repeat, not the ones you occasionally visit when it's convenient. Real power is quiet. It's not found in noise or praise or validation. It's found in the silence of self-control, in the discipline to execute your habit when no one's watching, in the clarity to say no to distractions that don't serve your growth. That's how strength is built. Not overnight, but over time. Not in sprints, but in repetition. And with each repetition, your belief grows stronger than your excuses, your purpose louder than your doubt, your vision clearer than your fear. You are not a victim of your past. You are not stuck in your story. The next chapter has already begun, and it's written in your decisions. You have everything you need right now to build momentum. One habit, one moment, one decision at a time. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to walk it with intention, with consistency, with a commitment to never hand your power back to hesitation. Let others wait, let others pause. You move, you rise, you build. Not with noise, but with certainty. Not with motivation, but with resolve. And when the days get heavy, when the mind gets loud, you return to the habit. You return to the one action that reminds you who you are and why you started. Stay locked in, stay focused. The transformation is already unfolding because you refuse to break. The standard you hold yourself to becomes the ceiling of your life. If your discipline is weak, your results will be limited. If your structure is fragile, your confidence will crumble under pressure. But when your habits are built on clarity and anchored in non-negotiable effort, you don't rise and fall with your feelings, you rise and hold. That's where stability lives. That's where peace begins. In knowing that no matter what comes, you've already decided who you are and how you move. That identity doesn't shift based on mood. It's forged through repetition, through fire, through the choice to show up when quitting would be easier. There will always be noise. There will always be people who don't understand your intensity, but that's not your concern. You're not here to be understood, you're here to become. And becoming takes energy, focus, and sacrifice. It means doing the uncomfortable thing until it becomes your new normal. It means moving through moments of doubt with unwavering resolve. Most people won't do that. They'll look for shortcuts. They'll chase temporary highs and call it progress. But not you. You've made a different decision. You've chosen depth over distraction, substance over image, mastery over comfort. Every time you protect your habit, you protect your future. It doesn't matter how small the action is. What matters is the message it sends, that your word means something, that your vision is worth the discomfort, that you're not here to wait until life feels easy. You're here to build the strength to carry what others drop. That strength doesn't scream, it stays, it shows up, it lasts. And it makes you unstoppable, not because you never struggle, but because you never retreat. There's a line you cross when you get tired of starting over. When the pain of inconsistency outweighs the discomfort of discipline. When you're no longer interested in being motivated, you're interested in being changed. That change doesn't come from thinking about it, it comes from doing. From locking into a rhythm so tight that your mind has no choice but to adapt. That rhythm becomes your foundation. It becomes the frame that holds your ambition steady when the storms hit. And they will hit. But now, you're ready. You've seen enough of what happens when you break your word to yourself. Now it's time to see what happens when you don't. What happens when you stay loyal to the process, even when the results are slow. What happens when you trust the habit to carry you through the noise. That's the moment things begin to shift, not just around you, but inside you. Not just in outcomes, but in identity. Because you no longer need life to be perfect. You've decided to be consistent. And that consistency will carve the life you once doubted you could have. Keep going. You are becoming solid. And solid doesn't shatter. There's nothing more powerful than choosing to show up when everything in you wants to run. That choice rewrites your future. That choice silences the noise. That choice reshapes who you are and what you believe you're capable of. Discipline isn't just about effort, it's about identity. It's the moment you stop chasing potential and start living it. You stop waiting for proof and start becoming the proof. And every time you return to your habit, even when your body resists and your mind protests, you confirm that you are no longer the person who breaks when life pushes back. You can't escape the truth that your life reflects your patterns. If those patterns are weak, so is your progress. But when your habits are forged in clarity and guarded with discipline, your life begins to align. No more chasing, no more doubting, no more waiting for permission. You've already decided, or you've already chosen. You've already committed to living from a place of power instead of fear. That's what separates the few from the many. The few decide. They don't ask, they don't explain, they execute. And execution, repeated with intent, builds transformation. You weren't born to live small, to play safe, to surrender to average. That's why the voice inside you gets louder when you don't follow through. That voice is your reminder that you're built for more. But it's not enough to hear it. You have to act on it. You have to match your internal fire with external follow-through. The ones who rise don't do it because they're more gifted. They rise because they train themselves to never retreat. They create habits so strong that even on their worst days, their actions still reflect strength. Your job is not to be perfect. Your job is to be relentless, to bring your focus back when it drifts, to return to your structure when the world pulls you away, to guard your momentum like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't rise by accident. You rise by intention, by repetition, by protecting the space where your potential is built. And in that space, nothing else matters. Not opinions, not distractions, not doubt, only the process, only the mission, only the habit that anchors everything. You're not waiting for some magical day when it all feels easy. You're becoming the kind of person who no longer needs easy. You thrive in challenge. You grow in repetition. You build in silence. And the life you're creating will become louder than any excuse you've ever had. Every moment you push forward, you multiply your strength. Every time you keep your habit alive, you bury the version of you that used to quit. This is who you are now. This is how you move now. Built from consistency, driven by clarity, strengthened by fire. Nothing else is needed. You already have the path. One habit, done with power, repeated without fail. The rest will follow.